Welcome to the Rip Comics Podcast. I'm Rob.
I'm Roll.
We have Will.
That's right. I'm right here.
First up in the first of the minute news is Crossover is the biggest Image comic with 150,000 sold on the FOC. This is actually a pretty big thing. They've had, within these past couple of weeks, we've had 3 books from Image that have either topped over 100,000. This one is by far the biggest since 1998's Danger Girl for a new series to come out. Within this past couple of weeks, we've actually seen Spawn 310 and 311 join the 100,000 club for 2020. There was also, back in the day, Top Cow released Battle of the Planets. It was a revival, and that was one of the highest, and it got 145,000. That's back in the day. And then there's also the controversial Magic Order from Mike Mylar. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that one, where it actually faked its numbers by getting Reed Pop, and if I'm not mistaken, Will had mentioned that company. They had basically convinced Reed Pop to buy 100,000 copies just to secure Mike Mylar this distinction of being in the 100,000 club. And basically, because he was attending the C2E2 show, the intention was to give away these books to the attendees. Problem is, he had male full frontal nudity inside the comic. So basically, you cannot give that comic out to just anybody that at the thing. So that basically didn't happen. Mylar managed to con Deadline into giving him press as a result. But anyway, back to Crossover, which did not need any such of those tactics or gimmicks or dead people or anything of that nature. I don't even think they didn't even announce a. I'm trying to think. Maybe as part of a regular variant lineup, they didn't even have a Peach Momoko. You have to go like to Big Apple or Big Time Collectibles or something like that to get that cover. So they didn't even announce that kind of cover within their. I think there's like about 6 or 8 that are going to come out. You got a blank cover. You have, various covers and stuff like that, a couple of black and white ones and stuff. But, there's all those specialty ones that you have to go to those stores to acquire that kind of cover. So those are like kinds of onesie twosies that are going to have print runs between 500, 1,000, and maybe 2,000, which are probably going to make those books a lot sought after. That's the kind of books that you kind of target, Will, isn't it? Like some of those Peach Momokos, like the one in Japan, that's a very specialty to a store that acquired her to make that exclusive cover, and that's what makes it desirable. As far as I'm just referring to the collectability, not Crossover in general, but when it comes to a variant, when it's a specialty store, there's that limited run. You've got the hot artists, and it's now extremely rare because there's only X amount of copies compared to 150,000 copies of a regular issue of some kind. When it comes
yes and no. I mean, there's some comics that certain bookstores make that really, end up being a big score for collectors. But I see a lot of times that the books they sell, they have some really unique covers, but they pretty much level off. And I purchased a Tyler Kirkham years ago for 800 ASM, and it's way less than. I purchased it for maybe $35. I love the cover, but it's now worth probably a third of that. So if it depends. If you're in it to collect it because you love the artist, great. If you're in it to invest, then I would invest the money somewhere else, maybe, because that's a hit or miss a lot of the times. So I'm kind of
so then it becomes about the artist itself. The artist will drive the price. So Tyler Kirkham is very niche, I guess, when it comes to, or maybe even the person, like the subject matter. If it's a Wolverine, or because he does a lot of X-Men stuff that looks pretty badass, and then you'll see him occasionally be invited to do like Spider-Man and stuff like that. But I know his Wolverine stuff and X-Men stuff is just pretty wicked looking.
Right. So, I mean, you just got to ask yourself in the beginning, why am I buying this? Am I buying it, for the sheer joy of buying the artist, the comic? Then you're good. But you really got to say, why am I going to drop down 30, 100, $150 on a book? Um, I would wait. I would wait if you're not into it for investment. I would keep an eye on it as far as how it's trending and pick it up once it levels off, and hopefully it drops down in price and you get a good deal. Or just like the New York City Comic Con, um, the COVID hit, so the attendees are not really there. So you got a lot of surplus that they ordered in advance that they were releasing through ReadPop and Image, and you could go to their websites and find these exclusive Comic Con books and get them for $25 and find out later on they're selling for $50 online. So you're getting a good deal, but you gotta look around for those. And I guess this is a unique time where those conventions already put the orders in and they had to cancel. So you may pick up on some good deals. So again, ask yourself, why am I buying this book? Is it because I want it or because I want to invest? So there's two mindsets to it. So
Well, when with crossover, to me, it goes right down to, I mean, honestly, the big name on this is Donny Cates. I mean, we were all off on how many we thought was going to sell. I went with, I think, 100,000. You went with
I
a
went
little
under.
bit.
I went low.
Yeah, and then Will did the $1 bid on Price is Right, and we were all wrong. They did the 150,000 mark, and I honestly, looking back, and we were talking about this off show. Donny Cates, look at the titles he's been on, and he's been able to turn around titles that really weren't, I mean, you don't just move on from like the little type of books that he was working on and move up to where he is now. And so to me, he is that name not because of art but because of his actual writing. And you posed that question, who has ever really demanded that kind of where they just the hot writer. And this isn't just him doing one title and that's what they're saying he's hot on. He's been doing this because I think we brought up like Chris Claremont. Well, he was doing the X titles, and that's he didn't move over to do some Spider-Mans or anything like that, so he was the X guy. And so Donny Cates, he's been able to move back and forth, and I mean, this isn't even a Marvel book that that he broke 150,000 on. It was an Image.
Yeah, that's what I thought was kind of surprising. Not that that's surprising, but then again, you know what? I wonder what the numbers are in Marvel. I think this is one of those things that Image is trying to get the word out. Right now in Diamond distribution, Image is number 2. They've taken over that spot, obviously, because DC is not there anymore. So then you've got Marvel, obviously number 1. We were kind of all off. We knew that it was going to do something. I didn't know what it was going to do, but obviously it doubled. It basically hit a mark that few select books, as far as on launch for Image. I'm not saying in general, because obviously when we're talking about big launches, you got 8.5 million for X-Men 1 back in the 90s, and then you got several millions of comic sellers with McFarlane and all that kind of stuff in the heyday of Marvel and stuff like that. So we're always tracking different books, and the reason that I'm bringing this one up, it says second and third printings are on their way from Todd McFarlane for issues 309, 310, and maybe 311. You have one that's a third print, and then you got 2 that are in second print. What do you look for when you get that second printing? Do you want it to look exactly like that first cover? Do you want variation that is dramatic? I know Marvel in recent has went second and third and fourth and fifth and sixth printings, and they will pull actual panels out of the book, and a really hot image becomes the cover of the book, or a really hot something, you know what I mean? Or just a character, or
I'm
they do
looking
a
for,
variation on the covers. So it
you
is,
know, with a second print run, I really don't care. I want a low print run. That's what I want.
yeah, okay. So
That's
it
all I'm
doesn't,
looking for.
so it
Lowest
doesn't
print run.
matter if it is just a microscopic difference.
Nope, not at all. I'm looking for the low print run.
A low print run on a second or
Yes.
third printing.
So
I
like,
agree. I agree. I feel that because of Ice Cream Man, everybody jumped on number 2 second printing. I think the third printing is actually going to be probably worth a little bit more because comic book dealers, when they bought all this shit and nobody was buying the second printing, don't get me wrong, some people did, but where they were like looking on their shelves and like, man, this thing didn't fly off my shelf, I'm going to order low or not at all in the third printing. That I think the Lorax cover is going to have some kind of weird skewed number where, you know what, we didn't even print that many of that.
what was the Ice Cream Man number? Issue 14?
20. No,
20?
it was 20. It was 20. It's the one that you have, the Dr. Seuss. Do you still have that one, or you got rid of it already?
No, I got copies of it. I got several copies of it, actually.
Okay. Yeah, I know. You still holding mine. And the Star Wars book with the variant cover. Tyler Chris. Oh, you already got rid of that. Don't tell me you got rid of that one.
No, I have them. I buy multiple copies.
Oh.
So right now for issue number 20, which is, so you have the second printing and you have the third printing. The second printing is trending a little more than it's gone up. It's gone up in its trend, and its raw estimate is probably about $5 for that book on eBay. It's selling. That's what's sold, not wanting, but sold. And then
for which one?
Yeah,
Ice Cream Man 20
second printing, book 20, Ice Cream Man, and then Ice Cream Man book 20 third printing is selling for about $3. With the number 1 printing, the first printing, selling for a raw about $22 to $23, and that is sold. Those aren't estimate. I mean, those aren't what people want.
I want to bring my brother into this thing because we're talking about second and third printing. I know you collect the Spawn, specifically McFarlane. McFarlane is going to go ahead and release another.
You going to introduce him?
Yeah, this is the Invisible Man. He's Rico, Richard Pettis. He just had a birthday, actually. Happy birthday. It was yesterday. Yep, there it is.
There he goes.
And
there he goes.
And there he goes. We'll talk to him next time. And there he completely went. Yeah, that's all he wanted to do. And
just wait for his birthday.
We had our chance and we missed it. God dang it.
By the way, for issue number 1, that book had a high sell of in August, in the middle of August, raw, $23.
So it kind of bounced around.
And with the lowest going for about $3 back in October 1st. So, I mean, it just depends, you know. The first printing is the one you want to get. That's the one where you want to put your money.
Well, there was that rare comic, Turok number 1.
Oh Lord, the killer of the industry. That you know what, dinosaurs do get extinct. That thing extinct practically the whole comic book industry at that moment. That is one of those defining moments. That is a unity event that killed the comic book industry, and I think everybody's kind of waiting to see when that will happen again.
For me, it goes down to the print run. So if there is, you know, a third of what he originally printed in the 1 and 2, then I'm good with it. It's a smart move. He's not spending much either, and he's giving us investors, collectors that invest in comics. He's giving us little nuggets. So, you know, I don't have a complaint. So I will pick it up.
And since you're a Spawn collector, I know there's no black and white this time around. Are you going to be picking up those 2 second prints and the third print?
No reason for the second or the third print. If I got the first print already, there's no reason for the second or third.
He saw a raccoon. Just watch. You know what he's going to do? Yes, sir. That's right. Roland's right. It's going to be a fourth one. Uh-oh. He's got new mail. It's from Japan.
I got this. This is from New York City Comic Con. This is Reed Pop right here.
All right, here we go. This is Will's segment. It's called I Got a Knife and What's in My Box. we're gonna. You know what? That's what you need to do. Will you just save a package and that'll be your segment, and then you
There you
rip
go.
it. Oh no.
That's not a rip. Well, anyway, happy birthday again, Richard. Rico. Welcome finally.
That's right.
It's only
You
13,
surprised
13
us.
episodes, 13 issues.
Well, that's why he was waiting for the
Yep.
13th
Number
episode.
13.
It's like what is it?
Maybe
Paradise Alley?
maybe my gift is in the box.
Hey,
There it is. A bunch of peanuts. 13 peanuts.
I hate peanuts.
Mama.
They threw in some freebies, is what they did.
Oh,
And look right here. They threw in this free
nice.
yes.
Ooh, I remember when he posted about that one. That looks, that's awesome. I like that one.
Yeah. He had a My Little Pony in there. Yep, there you go.
Greg
IDW.
Karnak is back.
Yeah, there you go. Nice. And you got 2 of those, right? One to rip and one for later?
And then
Who drew that cover?
I got Bell, this Johnny Boo.
Johnny Boo. Nice.
The only reason I would get a second printing is because I didn't get a first because I want to read it. Like Savage Dragon 252. I put in an order for it, but it was like a little bit afterwards that they said that they were going to do a second printing. So, hey, if I don't get the first, I'll get the second. I wouldn't have mind looking at because they did like a newsprint to that, but Eric Larson said they had a little messed up the way it looked. So the second printing is going to have a clean page. So
there's a book called Foundlings that is it's part of a Kickstarter right now. And the reason I'm mentioning this is Emma Kubert is actually doing the Kickstarter. And it is about kids with disabilities and stuff like that. And they've launched this. And I think when artists do that, she's got her gig, with Image. And she's got her books, and all that kind of stuff. But when she's being this specialty book that she's making it a very, limited run and whatever, new characters and all that kind of stuff, because it's not going to fit in the regular imprint. Marvel's not going to print this. DC's not going to print this. I don't know if she has enough material to launch something with Image. But the thing is, it's a one-shot book, I believe, and it's called Foundlings. So
is it Kickstarter still going?
Yeah, still going.
Okay.
I'll share the link. I'll share the link and stuff like that, and that way you guys can check it out. This is her second or third launch of a mini book like that. So just to let you guys know, when it comes to people that are challenged in some different kind of way, or they're facing adversity in life, social, and not just in physical, but also from society. There are voices out there, and there are books out there, and there are people trying to break these barriers down. And the industry itself gets looked at a certain way because of its past, but that's the thing. So okay, that's what we got for the first minute news. This next segment, it's Will's Spec Tip. I don't know if you specifically, Will gave me a topic header, and I sent it out in the rundown. I don't know if this is what you wanted to talk about, Will, or if you have.
Sure, I could give. I could briefly talk about it. So it's so when we left Spider-Man 2, at the very end, what was the prominent character that made a cameo? Jonah
Jameson.
Yeah, right. Okay. So we're introducing him into the mix now. One thing about in the comics back in issue number 25 of the very first volume of Amazing Spider-Man, you have which becomes what, Peter Parker's boss later on. Is that correct? Right? I got J. Jonah.
Yeah, he's the
Okay.
Daily Bugle. Yeah.
Well, so my thing is, I believe the villains for the new Spider-Man 3, which is currently being filmed right now in Sunnyside, outside of Queens in New York, is that we're gonna have the Spider Slayers, which came out in Amazing Spider-Man number 25. And it was in those Spider Slayers, you can imagine these large robots chasing down Spider-Man, trying to kill him. And they were built by, if I remember correctly, a character named Dr. Smithy. Dr. Smithy had a son, by the way. His name was Alistair. who also becomes a villain. And Dr. Smithy also had a lab assistant who gets the DNA from Spider-Man in issue 25, and later, from an experiment of some sort, ends up becoming the Jackal. So issue 25, I believe we're gonna have pieces from there, and that we'll see something close to the Spider Slayers. We'll also see new characters, like possibly the Doctor, which I believe the Doctor's son already showed up in Spider-Man 2 briefly, if I remember correctly. I have to go back and check, but it'll be them and possibly the Jackal. So I think we'll be seeing that, and I believe Jamie Foxx will be Electro again. I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to leave, guys. I'm sorry. It's a really good discussion, but I'm gonna have to leave. So I'll catch up. I'll keep listening.
Okay, so my take on this whole thing is they're developing the characters, dropping names. So when they lose Tom Holland, they're just going to go make a Silk movie. They're just going to go make a, and they have their villains already in place. And meanwhile, Tom Holland's going to go join Venom on the Venom movie because Cletus Cassidy will already be there. Then we're going to go ahead and get the Sinister Six over there, under the Venom title. And
I'm
that
just
way,
worried about
Spider-Man's not the main character. He's just one of the characters.
the problem is with name dropping is that they write themselves into a corner. And all of a sudden they want to introduce the character, but, the character's always been there. But now, I mean, look at the X-Men. How many times did you see, like, when you would pause, when they would be looking at a computer screen, all these names? And it's like Jamie Madrox. It's like, Cannonball, Sam
Silver, Quicksilver.
Yep.
That's all I mean, they wanted Wanda, and they really did not have any use for Quicksilver. So it's like, bloop, there he went. And I'm like, wait a minute, what just happened? Oh, no, never mind. He's in this other series. So now we have two Quicksilvers. But one is in this universe, and then one is in like the Wolverine universe, or
he's
something.
older.
Yeah, they're supposed to be twins, aren't they?
Yep.
Or pretty dang close.
No, they are twins. They are twins.
Yeah, but he's like really older, and the girl's like really young, and I don't know. But I guess that's the magic of movies and stuff like that. When they come up with a movie, it is always leading up to something else, and it has to tie in to whatever the next phase they are in. Whatever the next phase of Marvel, because obviously they just ended one whole thing, and they have to ramp it up to the next level of what it is. Even if there is 2 or 3 other Spider-Man movies, nuggets have to be in play that will be for either another movie or something bigger down the way. And obviously Doctor Strange has a TV show or made for Disney Plus movie or something like that.
Mouth of Madness or something.
Yeah, so he's got something coming up.
So are they bringing back Dr. Octopus too? Because he's the one that
Molina.
He breaks him out. He's the one that supposedly breaks out Electro, unless they're just not going that route. And that's how Electro becomes part of the Sinister Six.
Okay, well, let's think about this. Who is in prison right now? Michael Keaton's in prison. Yeah, Vulture, and is in Scorpion. They kind of hinted about that or something like that. So that guy from Better Call Saul, he appears and he's like, he's Scorpion.
Yeah.
So think about it: Scorpion,
We just need
Vulture.
Craven.
Yeah, and then you would have Electro. That's 3 dudes.
Wasn't Mysterio part of the Sinister Six though too? Well, he's still that guy he's a second Mysterio. The guy who, he was a Ralphie, right?
And we do know that he's dead, or we think he's dead.
Gyllenhaal, yeah, no, but I'm saying the guy who the other scientist Ralphie, could become the next Mysterio
because he has the technology and he knows how to operate
Which
Mysterio.
Ray Mysterio or which Mysterio?
619.
I actually like that one. I didn't. To me,
I-
I was caught off guard when he was like, and he looks, and it's like, uh-oh. And see, the thing is, I don't know. It ends where what he becomes a hunted guy because he's shown killing somebody, Spider-Man,
So who's better? Who better to go after the prey than Craven the Hunter?
which is the guy they mentioned also. They mentioned that he was going to be in this thing. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know. The jury's out. I think we went a little bit farther on this Spider-Man 25 spec, more so than whatever.
Well,
Well,
no, because
what-
sorry.
I was gonna say what there was a preview just recently, or was it the the Morbius or what preview was it that I saw
yeah.
that Michael Keaton comes out in it? Michael Keaton is in one of these previews that I saw just.
I know you're
recently.
talking about. I know you're
And
talking
he's
about.
just standing there, and he looks like he's like
I
undercover.
think it's Morbius. It's Morbius because
He
that's how
comes out
they
in
connect.
it, right?
They connect Morbius to because
To
I think it's like a
Spider-Man.
prison scene or something. Yeah,
Well, it looks like
That's
it
how
doesn't
they-
look like he's in prison. It looks like he's out, like he escaped or something.
or it could be a middle, like the past leading up to.
Yeah, because they show him in the preview.
I remember that now. Yeah, you're right. That's how they were connecting.
Well, okay. If you go to Morbius, IMDb, he's in a prison uniform. He has a blanket over himself. He's got the long hair, and right up on the wall is Spider-Man shooting webs. And guess what's written across his picture? It says
Miles?
murderer, murderer.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, and when does this movie come out?
last month. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Michael Keaton is at the very top of the list. Instead of us building the hero Avengers, since the Avengers have already, we don't know what it is. Maybe they're going to start with these movies by building the bad guys first, so that you have this heavy duty bad guy team. You know what I mean? Yeah, look at this dude in his crazy man, that's a big poster, dude.
I know.
That is huge.
Yeah,
That's what she said.
Did they have the cover, the comic with that cover on it?
They
or
don't
no?
carry
What did
no
I-
books.
Dude, they don't carry books, dude.
No.
They carry the books that. Oh, surprisingly enough, they have this book. Out of all the I don't carry Marvel. That's not selling right. But I'm going to carry Dark Horse. I'm going to carry Dark Horse because
Yeah.
And then
There's
I
a
got
lot
this
of
limited variant.
Yeah, well, because they got the little logo on the bottom corner. If you want to show that,
What?
it's
Oh,
a
yeah.
summit. It's the summit.
Oh.
No, up. It's the summit convention, whatever variant. See, retailer summit.
3,000.
Did you have any chance to look at Hellions, New Mutants, Cable?
Yep,
Other than
yep,
the fact that you did go through them in the
all
links.
three.
Okay.
Yep.
And the only mention I want to do is Amazing Spider-Man number 50. Richard, did you end up reading that one also?
Yeah, but I don't read my books.
Okay. Similar. But okay, I'll just mention this. Just because it was a big issue and is a milestone issue. At the end of the book, there is a major reveal. Anyway, so let's go ahead and we'll talk about X of Swords. This is hot picks. I need to think of a little. Anyway, hot picks is is when we look back at the past week's books that we think you guys should be reading. And currently on our read list is X of Swords. And this is our way of just kind of chit-chatting about some of the books that we just that we saw. The issues that we'll be talking about are Hellions 5, New Mutants 13, and Cable 5. Each of these books is, there's 22 issues as part of the X of Swords storyline, which is, it's part 6. Hellions number 5 is part 6 of X of Swords. Roland?
So from what I got from not only this issue, but these 3 issues is just like a show that throughout the season they're telling a story and they need to throw some filler in. That's what Hellions was. I was, when I first got the list of the ones that were coming out, I skimmed through Hellions real quick. Again, I'm still trying to get used to, I mean, like big character changes. Sinister is a lot more chatty, a lot more different. He was a international man of mystery, I guess, before. Yeah, great cover. I mean, again, artwork's great in there, but I just, it kind of seemed to be a throwaway, like, hey, read this book, please. It's part of the X of Swords, yay. It kind of moved the story, but not really, because again, as I was skimming through them, I actually the artwork for New Mutants got me hooked into reading that one. And I remember I was talking to Robert about it as I was reading it, and I told him how I hadn't read actually through Hellions. And then as I'm looking through New Mutants, in one small panel, it did it gave the synopsis of what happened in Hellions. So I was like, oh, well, I guess I don't have to actually go in and read it.
They didn't have to put the little square as seen in Hellions #5. No, they just went ahead and just revealed the whole thing. So if you read it out of order, you've got spoiled. Spoiler alert.
The sad part about reading these 3, and I say it's a sad part because I look back at the Executioner song. Some of those books were kind of like what Hellions was. They were just filler books where it's like,
yep,
we don't got much to say on this end of the storyline, so let's just throw them through some dimensions and kind of just put them on their journey. And it kind of just took me back into that whenever I was reading the whole Executioner song thing, because it's kind of like you even got Cable in this one too, so but it just pulled me back into that whole realm, and I wasn't a big X-Men guy. The movies, all that stuff, but I wouldn't go and buy a bunch of X-Men books all the time, and I would I bought the whole Executioner song,
right.
But it was I read every one of those. I've got,
I had cards.
I don't know, 2 or 3 sets of them if anybody needs one, but it kind of put me back. It put me back into that mental madness. It like just draws you back into the whole X thing. You recognize names, you're seeing all these different characters, and it doesn't hurt that they introduce you to every character in every one of these books. They show you a little synopsis of these are the guys in this episode starring,
right. I was going to ask you about that, Richard.
What's your take on that? Because me and Roland, we had our opinion about here. You're reading the issue, and all of a sudden, oh, by the way, here's a whole
little
here's a whole thing about this sword, or whatever.
Well, I mean, it saves people who aren't familiar with the storyline or any of these weapons that they have. It helps them. It's kind of like footnotes in the middle of the book.
Right. Now, I agree with you, but here's the problem that we found is that it has that on there, but like Robert brought up, there's some that information is redacted. It's like blocked out. So, and if you look at it, look at one of those pages again, and it says Xavier files. So it's almost like the Cerebro files. And it throws me off every once in a while because it's like you read it and then it's like reading the, like how we would write our notes when we were doing our own comic book universe. That's like, throwing that in there, like the little Bible that they go by.
Well, it's kind of like, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of like in Star Wars when Luke, supposedly on the comics compared to the movies, is going over an entire Obi-Wan Kenobi's journals. And they revert back to that in all the issues. Like, okay, well, he read about that in Obi-Wan Kenobi's journal, and that's where he went back and he found the pieces to make his new lightsaber. And then, okay, well, he went off on this other story because he read about it in Obi-Wan Kenobi's journal. Cerebral is kind of like the wiki of X-Men. They're going to revert back to that, but they're not going to let you see everything because it'll be spoilers and they don't want you to know it all. Well, that's what my take was on it.
I'm worried that finally at the end of the storyline, it's gonna be, Riker and Troy in the holodeck looking at all this, or even worse, them going, this whole Krakoa timeline, this whole storyline. I'm afraid that at the end of like when they decide they're gonna do another reboot, that they're gonna be like, well, that was one simulation that could have happened, but let's see what really happened, type of thing. But anyway,
the next book was New Mutants. So, Roland, go ahead and tell us a little bit about the New Mutants here.
This was my first New Mutants I'd seen in a long time. The artwork pulled me into that one. It's very unique. It's like a painting. With Krakoa, which again the whole point is that they can reanimate or bring back to life pretty much any mutant they want. The difference with this storyline is because they're fighting in an otherworld type place when this battle does go down, which I'm guessing is the next 11 issues after 11, but they're dead forever. No, so if they bring someone back, it's not gonna. Oh, okay. So speaking of bringing back to life, you have Cypher and you have Warlock, which any old X fan knows. They were the New Mutants who died, and they had brought Douglock back in the Foundlings, which was 20 years ago or so. And now they're separate. These two are separate, but of course they're still friends because they're real close. And Rob and I suggested, as we were talking to each other before, that they're a little bit closer than they should be. But I don't want to give away too much of that as you are right now. But yeah, let's again the artwork. I mean, aside from looking like Homelander from the show.
Yeah. You know what? I was getting shades of Luke.
Yep.
He got the sword. He's part C-3PO. He's part
the Yavin, and he's wearing the Yavin clothes.
He's got the whole Mark Hamill Tatooine jacket. I mean, I don't know what he's doing here. It's a little bit heavy.
Power converters.
Oh, he's got to go to Tashi Station.
And then you have the Deku tree behind him from Zelda.
That is very protective of him, I might say. The whole planet is very protective of him. Of him.
Cypher.
I thought it was pretty good. It's surprising that they pick him to represent them with the sword, and he doesn't even know how to fight. But
yeah, because Cypher was never, even in the New Mutants, originally, he was never, a big fighter. He was just...
Are we telegraphing something? Is that what's happening here, you think, guys? I mean, do you think something's being telegraphed as far as they're setting something up in regards to, a guy that doesn't fight and whatever, and he's one of these guys, or they're going to just take this dude out?
What did I just say? No, you know what? What did I say? That because these are the filler issues, these are the issues that you could probably pass, it's going to be one of these fools that...
Yeah, and then plus you got a Peach Momoko cover. Why not?
What we read, I don't know, are you leaving right now?
Yeah, I have to cut out.
Can you, well, real quick, then what'd you think about Cable?
I like that one. Out of the three, I probably like that one the best.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had a hard time with the whole mom and dad, and we're the
What was it about that one that gravitated towards you gravitated more towards that one? What was it about it per se?
Yeah, and it may not be necessarily the inner dynamic that they were having with each other, but it was just that that's the only one that had real action in it, or real
okay. That's what
anything in it. Yeah, not necessarily, hey mom, yeah dad,
yeah, it's
yeah,
just cleaning up
good son, you're
Yeah.
not using guns. I just didn't want you to have a gun in your hand.
Yeah,
The sword's better.
Yeah, the
you
sword.
know.
Yeah, the big sword that turned on the whole thing.
Yeah, and that's what it was. It was more storyline in there. Yeah, action part.
It was pretty cool. I mean, and I think that's the problem with me though. I got hooked. I got caught up with for the fact that who they are, and again, us three have not read, and Richard really wasn't an X-Men fan. I was, and so I'm still trying to catch up. So a lot of these character dynamics and even their drive is so different than what I was used to. So I mean, I'm getting used to it, but again, oh yeah, there we go. But again, the biggest thing for me was, I agree with you that the action was great, but like Rob said, you could have put any characters in there. You could have made up characters, and it really didn't need to be those three. So as a standalone, it was good, but because of the characters who they were, that's what threw me off on it.
Real quick on this, amazing.
There were two.
And then there were two. We're doing the opposite of the swords.
Yeah.
We're trying to get more swords, and now we're down to just two. Anyway,
we had to say farewell, brother.
We had to say farewell. This is actually the Amazing Spider-Man number 50. This is the cover that was a little bit harder to acquire for some reason. Richard could not find this cover. Yeah. It is Patrick Gleason, who is also Stormbreaker.
Jackie's grandkid, right?
Yeah. And so, if you think about it, three of the books that we've talked about, at least three books that we have seen and talked about have three of the Stormbreakers. We have this book here, Patrick Gleason, and then we have Peach Momoko.
Plum Kokomo.
Yeah, and then there was the other one. For some reason, I think it was it Hellions? The artist of Hellions she's a Stormbreaker as well. So that's what we have going on right now. Kindred is the one that is over the shoulder of Spider-Man in this particular. Yeah, it's like a.
It looks kind of hairy. That's kind of hairy.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, little. He needs a little shave there.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
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 So those are the hot picks for this past Wednesday, and
Yo Joe, that is the cry of G.I. Joe. That cartoon very, very dear to me. Real American hero, as you can see. Got my retired Navy hat on, especially for this one today. And just to give you a little hint of just how much of a fan I am.
There you go.
And there, in my 20th year in the Navy, I decided,
He decided to cosplay. No,
pretty much. Well, I'd been.
He took cosplaying to the ultimate level. 20 years worth of cosplaying.
Yeah, it was after I retired. So it was 2017 going to 2018. But I'd grew my beard out, and I still had my. We weren't even wearing that uniform anymore. I'd gone through like 4 changes. Came in with dungarees, like Shipwreck wore. Moved over utilities, blueberries, and then guacs at the end. So what I'm wearing there were actually my utilities, but that was my Shipwreck impersonation, which it was one of my favorite characters. And he became even more of one of my favorite characters after I joined the Navy, and I kind of saw what they were doing there. There was, you always hear they pulled up the stereotype really, really big time with all of these characters. I mean, G.I. Joe was pretty much the who's who of minority stereotypes. I mean, I don't think I've ever met anybody my age, you know, in their 40s that don't know about GI Joe. I mean, that was a staple. I mean, you know, you knew some iteration of GI Joe, whether it was the first ones where, you know, heck, they pulled a Spock with Snake Eyes in one of the first episodes where he died and they were like, oh my gosh, and he like, and that's when he found Timberwolf, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, it was just, you know, we had the toys, of course. My brothers got the really cool GI Joes, and I got their reserves. I got the reservists. Uh, they got Sky Strikers, and I got, you know, the GI Joe that in the cartoon like went to another dimension in the fourth episode or something like, or after the initial Real American Hero. But when the show started, you know, going on, he pretty much like went to a different dimension because they were like, yeah, nobody likes him. So that was the toy I got. They got the Dreadnought.
You had the Star action figures, which were like Duke and
You
Destro
that's
and
what
all
you
that.
guys.
And then there was
Surprisingly
this,
enough,
and then there's this level here that had Zartan and a lot of the cool bad guys, and you know these guys. And then there was this other level
of the ones I got.
that were like they all had these pink clothes and
Oh no, you're talking about flea market GI Jose's from freaking.
GI Jose. They were the guys that were always on call. They were always on vacation in San
The Weekend
Francisco and
Warriors,
San
yeah.
Diego and the coasts,
But
Hawaii.
anyway, GI Joe. I didn't want to miss this episode, so I pushed through because I said, you know, like I said, this show is pretty therapeutic for me. I look forward to it, and like I said, GI Joe was one of the reasons, and had to be in this one. So just wanted to give a little background if I seem a little off than usual, but
You're off. I had the whole thing off. Yeah.
so
What?
because you haven't seen GI Joe, that I mean, you used to watch it, but not like I did. So you just started rewatching some of them. So tell me, you know, what was, you know, especially because you're watching it when you're older, and well, you know, I might talk about military.
I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back further. I'm gonna go back in
Okay.
the 1970s. It had to be mid 70s. GI Joe went through a transformation. It went from, and this is a direct. It was directly related to the Vietnam War. It wasn't hip to have a soldier character that was so gung ho the way he was when he first came out, and it was a doll that was about yay big, 10-inch figure doll, whatever you want to call it, and they've had vehicles, they had, you know, all the different branches of the service, they had astronauts, they had you name it. GI Joe had everything covered. When these action dolls or whatever they came out with, it was basically the opposite of like the Barbie but for guys. Then they changed them to more of a uh, I don't know, like adventurer. I'm going on adventures, and that they would meet up with, I guess, enemy terrorists or something. I don't know what they did, but
organizations.
yeah, there were offshoots or there were like rescue teams. I don't know, but they grew beards. All these Joes all of a sudden had beards, and they had their dog tags. You pull them, and they could talk. Joe, or whatever. I don't know what he said. I think they always had that saying, I believe. And so GI Joe was a big doll for guys, and they had beards and afros, and my older cousins had them. And so when Christmas, no, you know what? It wasn't even Christmas. It was just a birthday or something like that. My dad decided to buy one, and I got one. And I thought it was so cool, but Dad was like, yeah, military guys don't have beards. like that. And I'm like, well, okay, Dad. So he decided he was going to shave the GI Joe to make it look like real GI Joe.
That's his dude. You were
Yeah.
seeing the first parts of his PTSD, bro.
So basically,
Must be clean shaven.
I ended up with a GI homeless.
Which is the reverse with the afro and the beard.
So he was playing out the Vietnam experience right in front of his child's eyes. This is what it's really like to have society shave you down and strip away what you really are.
He's like, there's not enough spit on him.
My guy looked like he had mange and stuff, and I remember I went to the cousins who all had like fully grown beard guys and whatever. I'm like, look, oh my God, what happened to his face? Well, my dad decided to shave him because it didn't look like a military guy. And so that was my G.I. Joe experience when I first, and that was the only G.I. Joe that I had that was a full-size doll figure. And then in the 80s, it was announced G.I. Joe coming to WGN Network, Chicago station. At that time, we had the regular Tom and Jerry. Maybe Batman would be on like CBS in the afternoons or something like that. And that would be our afternoon fare. We would run home, and occasionally Batman would be too early in the afternoon for all of us to catch. But we were able to get the Tom and Jerry comedy hour or whatever they would call it. But then WGN had announced that they were going to have G.I. Joe. Other programming was that was announced. I don't know if it was prior or after, but was Transformers. But I do remember G.I. Joe looking like totally badass. Now, was G.I. Joe released prior to the show, or did the action figures come after, or was it simultaneously? Do you know? Or did they?
Well, no, I think
had
it was
some
both.
product. We eagerly awaited the premiere of this. I had friends come over to the house in the afternoon to catch this because not all of us had cable, and we all sat in front of the TV to watch it all play out in front of our eyes. We got to see, oh my God, check out those dudes, the bad dudes, Cobra, and the imagery is real, striking. Here's G.I. Joe, this all-star hodgepodge group. Every character has a certain theme of sorts, and then you have Cobra, which with the snake and all that rivals a certain third thing.
They had it was done by Sunbow, I believe, also. So they were the ones who also did Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. So you had a lot of voices that it was
that
like, wait,
similar.
is that Iceman? No,
yep.
that's and then you had a lot of the sound effects. There were certain sound effects that Sunbow and Marvel had that
because they had lasers, and the lasers, and later you would hear these also in the X-Men. You would hear some of that stuff too. So they definitely use their musical libraries and sound effect libraries to its full extent.
And you saw them also in Kiss Meets Family Park.
And that was definitely prior. So there's a lot of play. So anyway, my brother asked, how did this feel revisiting this? It was it very nostalgic. It was like, I remember seeing these episodes, but once it started playing out, it was like it all fell into place, and I remembered the episodes. But seeing it with these different eyes, being an older person, I was catching stuff that can't believe that we actually watched when we were kids. My brother specifically wanted me to watch a specific episode, and I'm going to let him talk about that one because I don't want to steal any of that thunder. But I'm just going to say there was very borderline, dialogue, interactions, or scenes that would play out between a lot of these characters that were that would throw you off.
So one of my favorite characters was Shipwreck, which he was one of the few Hispanic Latino characters in there.
Was he? What? I mean,
yes.
no. You're informing me. I like when you bring stuff like this.
Yeah, I mean, again, even on the back, his name alone. He grew up around the shipyards in San Diego. Lied about his age to join the Navy because that's what he wanted to do. So in there, he's a chief. Later on, they make him a Navy SEAL, something, whatever. But now the episode that Robert's talking about that I specifically asked him to watch is one that's called Lights, Camera, Cobra. There we go. There we go. Yeah, see, later they made him SEAL.
Says it seems he's the only one who can stomach his own cooking.
And it says right there, stereotypical sailor attitude has gotten him in trouble so many times. He prefers to take up his own actions and fight the enemy in his own way. See, I honestly, yeah, right there on the bottom, that's pretty much from the card. But where's his name? I don't want to get it wrong. Personal information right there, Hector Delgado. That's right.
Wow.
This is, I mean, they had a couple storylines with Shipwreck throughout the course of it, and they were pretty good. But to me, this was like the ultimate sailor Shipwreck.
Little lights, camera, Cobra. It's just a one-liner there.
The Joes are hired as technical advisors for a Hollywood film, which unwittingly puts them in Cobra sights. It pretty much, whenever, there are these people acting. Oh, that's a good scene. But anyway, so
look at what we have in the background. How many cartoons are going to have that in the background? I mean, they were in a bar for heaven's sakes.
So, of course, they show them fighting.
Lemmy from Motorhead was hanging out in Los Angeles downtown. They stuck him in the freaking thing. Oh my goodness.
So as any stereotypical, episode 19, they're fighting. Cobra Commander punches Duke, and all of a sudden Duke starts getting upset because he got punched. And that's when you figure out that they're in a movie, which again turns out that, like any stereotype, all actors are little wusses and the directors are a little fruity. His hair, oh my gosh, it's funny. Anyway, so when they go and pick up the G.I. Joe advisors, they're in the airport and they ask the lady about, or they ask her, where are the Joes, and able to pick them up, and she's like almost in terror, and she's like, just get this one out of here, and she points, and Shipwreck is just laughing, and not just laughing, like he was Quagmire before Quagmire, so Quagmire is Shipwreck. He's like, he had that type of laugh.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. And that's not the only time. They get in the limo, and as they're driving through Hollywood, he says this line. I can't remember. It's not a quote, but it pretty much wins port call. So he wants to go out into the streets because it's L.A. They go out to the place. He feels cooped up and ends up sneaking away. And when they go out into town looking for him, they're like, where would we find him? Someone gets thrown out of the bar window, and they're like, that's where he is. And so, and that's where you see that picture of CoverGirl and him fighting people because, it's Shipwreck. He feels like he can fight all of them. So they ended up getting a real vehicle from Cobra, which, of course, Cobra's upset and they want him back. Well, the Dreadnoughts go and try to retrieve it. Shipwreck gets knocked out and falls into the ship. It flies back to Cobra headquarters. When that thing opens up, everybody's surrounding him. Like, I'm talking about Cobra Commander, the guards, Destro, I think, and they're just like, oh, I'm glad you could be here, whatever. Shipwreck wakes up, sees he's surrounded by Cobra, right? Surrounded by guns and all this. You just see a fist come out and punch Cobra Commander, and he jumps out of there, and he's like, "You're all under arrest," you know. He's freaking pulling a Popeye, and I mean, it was just it didn't matter to him. It made me that is what made me like, to me, Shipwreck was awesome because it didn't matter. He, in his mind, he was going to do it. He was going to arrest all of Cobra and do it single-handedly if he had to. But that scene, just, I wish you could show that clip. It's just beautiful because, like I said, they're all looking over him, and Cobra Commander says some snide remark. You just see this fist, and he go and then Cover Girl. I mean, they do a whole. They trick Cobra. Cover Girl uses her Cover Girl makeup designs, and yep.
I mean, he plays up all the things that you would expect that you would see, play up in a sailor, but looking at it, like carefully taking the episode apart, they do end up in a bar. You're not going to see that done in a kid show now. Some of the
people smoking.
Yeah, some of the interplay that is happening in the actual episode, you're not going to catch that either.
They threaten torture.
Yeah. The whole we're dealing with terrorists here. We're dealing with international terrorists, and then the ethics. The hired guns. They have actually hired guns along with their regular team, the Cobra team. You have an arms dealer that is always making comments about money and that, being a client, and trying to give all these services and stuff like that. Then you got all these offshoot individuals such as Major Blood and Baroness and all that are part of Cobra, but they're there to serve him. But you see this interplay happening with Destro and stuff like that. The G.I. Joe characters amongst themselves are very playful with themselves in regards to their past histories that we find out through the episodes that we've known about. And they don't really dwell too much about it. In passing through dialogue and their actions is how those are played. That's actually pretty. That's an advanced type of storytelling technique, which I think that is a really cool thing when it comes to this, because slowly you start. Obviously, if you're watching all the episodes, you start to catalog all the things that they say, and then you start building up that background of the character.
There we go. Oh, that's FHE. And you know what? I actually had this VHS also. I had the FHE one. It was the G.I. Joe ones used to be in like those big shells. Remember the clam shells?
Yeah.
And you read some of the old comic books. Tell us
about
that. Yeah,
I was looking at that, and they have the spirit of the animated series, but they are by far more violent than the show. The show does have violence and all that kind of stuff, but I was taken back at the level that they would push it in the comic book. This is what I was talking about earlier. Baroness had this woman hostage and basically was threatening to turn her head into red mist while she had a gun up to her head. A lot of that was, pretty, it really pushed the envelope hardcore. I don't even know at this time if there were codes. Maybe because it was a good guy, bad guy situation, they're able to kind of push some of these storylines in regards to the comic codes and all that kind of stuff. But definitely you were getting more action, stuff like that.
Oh, look at that. With a dog.
Yeah.
Korean Family Man.
Yeah, okay. I don't need a tank. I'm going straight up the middle. G.I. Joe's own story. It's a foot soldier's job. This is 1951 GI Joe. I'm not really too familiar. I don't know if it was more episodic, and it's 52 pages, man, for 1951. It's pretty much a digest of sorts. I imagine. I don't know if it's just an outright comic book or it's a mix and match of stories, art. It'd be kind of interesting to kind of see what one of these old GI Joe books, are about. But that was like it says G.I. Joe has been the title of a comic strip and comic books in every decade since 1942. The licensed property by Hasbro, G.I. Joe Comics, has been released in 1967 to the present, with 2 interpretations longer than a year, 1977 and 1981, 1997 to 2000, as Team Fighting Cobra since 1982. So in 1982, that was obviously 3 years before the introduction of the animation and stuff like that. It was established, I guess, in a comic book, G.I. Joe, Real American Hero, and it's been covered by 3 separate publishers and 4 main title sequences. Once you saw the cartoon, you ran out to the store because you expected to see whatever you were seeing in there. Oh my gosh, I saw the dragonfly. Oh my God, I saw that weird laser gun that appears like at this angle all the time, and it just does this 45-degree angle, whatever. I forgot what that's called. One of the cool things about the comic book that was in some cases the predecessor, and it set the blueprint to what G.I. Joe was going to follow. And maybe this is a throwback from the original G.I. Joe books and stuff like that. But you would get a sheet, and it was like a declassified or top secret page. And it would be like a blueprint. And these were basically the same things that you would see when you bought a helicopter or some kind of vehicle. You would get that. These are top secret blueprints of that vehicle, and you open it up, and it tells you what everything is. And this is that special gun. It recharges from here, da 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 da, and all this kind of crap. Even though it's just a big piece of molded plastic, where you occasionally would put stickers like. All that kind of stuff, but
all wrong.
Yeah, it's. But you know what? It was a cool thing. Usually, it was good and bad. Cobra, the enemy, because GI Joe is there. GI Joe. But anyway, it is it's one of those things. It's available on YouTube. Go to YouTube, type Hasbro, and you can watch. There's live episodes streaming like 24/7. You can catch whatever episode you want, or if you go to a like YouTube and look at a show rundown, you get all the names of the episodes. You can actually find the episode name, type it in the thing, and you can actually watch very specific episodes and watch them in the order that they were released.
Now, you can also go through Tubi, which is a free app.
Yes.
And they have, not only that, they have all the Transformer cartoons. And if some people out there remember, there was a show called Cops. And it was a very good cartoon.
Yes. You catch these little snapshots of a character of this nature, and you cannot not have fun with something like this. I think that's what we have for the treasure chest this Saturday. So I want to thank Roland again for bringing us, spotlighting some of our or his childhood and letting us visit that in regards to G.I. Joe and specifically Shipwreck and Lights, Camera, Cobra. So go out and watch that episode on YouTube or Tubi.
Yo, Joe.
So now, Comic Book Wednesday is October 21st, 2020. We like to do this every week. We like to kind of just take a little sneak preview of what is coming out and what you guys might want to take careful attention to when you're at your comic book store this Tuesday. Okay, our first book that we're going to talk about is from Image Comics. We talked about this back in episode 1 or 2, or issue 1 and 2. We talked about Scumbag. Scumbag, it's kind of one of these by, it happenstance, a character with shady background ends up with some kind of abilities and stuff like that. So, Jazz Apple Armageddon, Part 1. The fate of the world rests in the hands of the worst person on it. New ongoing series from writer of Deadly Class, Rick Remender, launches an all-new comedy espionage series, The Scumbag. The story of Ernie Ray Clemente, a profane,
Clementine.
literate... Is it? Yeah, you're right. But you know what? Let's make him Spanish anyway. A profane, illiterate, drug-addicted biker with a fifth grade education. He's the only thing standing between us and total Armageddon because this dummy accidentally received a power-imbuing serum, making him the world's most powerful super spy. You know, yeah, this might be worth a shot. I'm picking it as one of the hot comics of the week. I think a lot of people are going to give it a run. Maybe they get 2-3 issues into the thing. I don't know what's going to happen after that. It really has to, like, I mean, we're talking about like the artwork. We're going to get different stylized books, you know, from what I can tell, each issue. And they got several people already lined up here that we're already looking at maybe 6-8 copies or issues into this series with rotating members of artists here. So,
I
yeah,
like that.
yeah. I don't know what else I can say. There's Venom 29. The reveal of who Codex is now makes this cover even more intriguing because what we have here is either alternate version Dylan holding himself up over an edge. Donny Cates, Luke Ross, Ryan Stegman cover. Venom Beyond continues. Eddie Brock and his son Dylan are trapped in an unfamiliar world. But there's only one thing Eddie's good at. It's making friends right.
Right?
Yeah, question mark. This is part 4 of Venom Beyond. This started with obviously all the virus stuff. Of course, all of it overall chapters going towards the battle with Null. But why not? Here it is.
Now,
it's Codex.
Now, if I recall, you said Codex is Harry Osborn, right? That was the big reveal.
That was the wrong reveal. But no, this is the other reveal that it's Dylan. So Dylan is Eddie Brock's son, and basically this alternative version from this alternate world has grown up to be that. So he's like one of the most powerful people with powers that are comparable to Null. So obviously he's having their hands are full right here with Codex, and only time will tell if they can survive this particular battle. Now continuing with Marvel, and of course we are following the X of Swords. And so the next chapter, because there are 2 chapters that are coming up, very easily we could have said pick up both chapters. One is Excalibur, but I wanted to go ahead and just pick at least one, and that's going to be X-Men 13. We basically have Apocalypse and the 4 horsemen of, or I guess his, what do they call?
4.
Yeah, the original 4.
The original 4.
Yeah, the original 4 horsemen are behind him, and it's I don't know. All these creatures are at their feet. I don't know if they're dead or whatever, but you see lots of swords, and more swords. So, and infamous their haiku stuff. So part 10, if you want to go ahead and just read that.
Lessons longing. What has begun cannot be undone. Rated T+. Not much there to go off of. So
not much there. You must read. There are multiple covers coming out of this particular issue. So basically, just like all the X-Men books that have happened, it's going to be hit or miss. You might be able to get this cover or that cover. Some of them, you know, one of them is just Apocalypse by himself with holding 2 swords, which looks pretty intense. So, and which leads us to I want to say it's like a wild card book that I've been picking either hardcover books, or something a little bit more obscure, something off the beaten track, or something that might be a little bit different. Last week we did the Killjoys from Dark Horse. This one is from Scout Comics, Phantom Starkiller. When I hear the word Starkiller, I can't help but think of like Star Wars. And
I thought that was Darth Vader's thing on his chest.
yeah, and then he's got a lit up lightsaber of sorts and stuff like that.
Isn't that what's his name? Biggs?
Yeah, he came back.
What was his name? Biggs
Dark Lighter.
Or
something, I don't know. Yeah, great names, Lucas. Is a Black Caravan imprint, even though it is a Scout Comics imprint. You got several imprints here. You got Black Cavern up on the top, and then you got on the bottom Scout Comics. For Uncounted Millennia, the Crypto-Chrysalian stone remained lost to the blackness of space, hidden amongst the stars. As time passed and the galaxy slipped into great peril, thousands of systems fell and worlds crumbled. Dark and ominous beings conspire from the shadows to process its unlimited power and ability to resurrect a legion of deathless warriors. From the vastness of the unknown regions, whispers of his return paralyzed all in fear. That sounds weird. Anyway, Phantom Starkiller. The cosmic ghoul warrior must now unleash his inner darkness to carry out his master's wishes, all while plotting his revenge, for he cannot stop his interstellar rampage until the curse of Crypto-Chrysalian stone has been broken. There are several covers available. I do not think this book in any shape or form is going to be on most comic book shelves at all. I think it's so super niche. I honestly think that you're lucky if they're gonna either have pulled this in your box and you needed to have it on your list, or you're gonna find that one or two random copies just on the wall. And if your comic book store is cool, they will have at least 2 or 3. That's what I have. So, any thoughts, Ro? Is there something that you're kind of looking forward to?
No, I'm just waiting for my Savage Dragon 252 to come in. I'll probably get 253 before then, but
yeah.
Okay, so a quick anecdote.
Savage Dragon comes out this week. Unfortunately,
Okay.
I didn't pick it up as a hot comic, but I probably should have.
Well, what I'm gonna say is, now I had to talk my LCS local comic book store to actually order crossover. He was like, who are they crossing over with? And I'm like, no. That's the name of the issue. And I had said it was Donny Cates, and the first thing he goes is, well, Marvel hasn't been selling well. And I'm like, well, it's Image. And he was like, ooh, even worse. And I'm like, what? So this,
I think Donny Cates would love this story. I really, honestly, truly think that he would love this story.
And it was thanks to me that it got up to 150,000 plus 3. Because after I told him about it, he finally was like, all right. And he put like 3 on order for number 1 and 2. But I don't know if he was just waiting for it to come out as a trade paperback, because that's pretty much what he does. He'll order trade paperbacks. Yeah.
Wow.
The one that I'm going to is the only place in town that you can get new comics. And that's pretty much if you put them in your box. So this is not a place that you can go and browse. At least you could, all the trade paperbacks he owns, but you can't really like see, oh, this stuff came out this week, maybe it'll be here. No.
Interesting. This store, to get the books that he needs.
Well, I'm just saying, this is the way.
One book.
Mandalorian, yeah.
One book at a time.
Okay.
But there you go. That's another episode or issue for our people down under of the Rip Comics podcast. But until then, I want to thank everybody for listening to Ripped Comic Podcast, the live edition, and the Full Amigas version. But until next time, I'm Rob.
Rip a page, and I'm Roll.
And
Rip a page.